Today's story is about a very famous brother and sister named Hansel and Gretel and how they used their wits to escape a truly scary situation. So, I want to ask you a question before we really get going. What makes someone truly brave? Like, does bravery mean you just never feel scared at all? Or does it mean doing the right thing and stepping up to protect your family even when your knees are literally shaking and your heart is pounding out of your chest? Keep that question right in the back of your mind as we follow Hansel and Gretel deep into the dark forest, because they were definitely scared, but as we'll see, they were also incredibly brave.
Section 1. Lost in the Woods with a Hungry Family. Long ago, in this small village surrounded by endless woods, lived a poor woodcutter, his clever son Hansel, and his kind daughter Gretel. Despite having very little food, they were a really happy family. But then, a terrible famine struck the land. Crops failed, and food became dangerously scarce. One night, the children overheard a truly frightening conversation. Their stepmother was insisting to their horrified father that they just couldn't feed the children anymore, and that they had to abandon them in the woods. The very next morning, the desperate father gave in. The kids were led deep into the forest and left completely alone among these towering trees. Gretel, understandably, began to cry. But Hansel? He didn't let panic take over. He turned to her, smiled, and said, "Don't worry, we'll find our way home." You know, looking out for your siblings, especially when you are just as terrified as they are, is such a wonderful and powerful way to show courage.
And Hansel actually backed up those brave words with a brilliant plan. On day one, unknown to anyone, he had secretly filled his pockets with small white pebbles. As they were led into the woods, he quietly dropped them one by one. That night, under the moonlight, those pebbles sparkled like silver stars and led them safely right back home. But, well, the stepmother was furious they returned, and she actually locked the door so Hansel couldn't gather any more pebbles. So on day 2, he adapted. He used breadcrumbs instead. But by day 3, total tragedy struck. When they tried to follow the trail back, it had just vanished. Hungry birds had eaten every last crumb. Now, they were truly lost.
Section 2. The Candy House, and a Very Sweet Discovery.
For days, the brother and sister wandered through this endless forest, just completely hungry and exhausted. Their stomachs were growling, their legs were aching, but then a little magical white bird fluttered ahead, chirping sweetly and leading them to literally the most unbelievable sight ever, a beautiful cottage made entirely of sweets. To put this into perspective, the roof was 40% cake, the walls 30% solid chocolate, and the windows were 30% sparkling sugar. The whole shebang was completely edible. Hansel and Gretel could hardly believe their eyes. They rushed forward and literally just started eating the house. Cookies, chocolate, candy. For the first time in days, the starving brother and sister finally felt full. It really seemed like a dream come true.
Section 3. Trapped. Uncovering the Witch's Secret.
Suddenly, the front door of the candy house creaked open. An old woman stepped outside, smiling really warmly at them. She invited the children in, giving them even more food, soft beds, and warm blankets. They honestly thought they had found a kind, sweet grandmother. But, as we know, looks can be incredibly deceiving. She was actually a wicked, powerful witch who built the candy house specifically to lure lost children. She was hungry for kids, and one morning, she dropped the act entirely. She grabbed Hansel and locked him straight inside an iron cage to fatten him up. Hansel's heart must have been pounding with absolute terror, but once again, his courage kicked right in. He didn't just give up. Because her eyesight was so poor, the witch would constantly ask Hansel to stick out his finger to see if he was getting fat enough to eat. But Hansel used some brilliant, quick thinking with his secret chicken bone trick. Instead of his finger, he handed her this tiny, thin little chicken bone. The witch felt it, frowned, and muttered that he was still way too skinny. He used his wits to buy them some seriously precious time. But you know, you can only trick a hungry witch for so long. Weeks passed, and the witch grew incredibly impatient. Finally, she just let out this dramatic roar. "Tomorrow I will cook him whether he's fat or not." Time had officially run out. Hansel was locked away and couldn't help. This meant it was now entirely up to Gretel to step up and find her own courage. Section 4. A Brave Escape, where Gretel completely saves the day.
The next morning, the witch prepared a giant oven. Flames were roaring inside, and the heat filled the entire room. The danger was completely overwhelming. But Gretel, who had started this journey crying in the woods, now found this fierce determination within herself to save her brother. When the witch ordered Gretel to check if the oven was hot enough, Gretel cleverly executed a plan. Step 1, she pretended she had absolutely no idea how it worked. Step 2, she waited patiently for the frustrated witch to groan, bend down, and demonstrate it herself. And then, step 3, with all her might, Gretel pushed. She shoved the witch right into the blazing oven and slammed the heavy iron door shut, eliminating the danger forever.
Section 5. The Courage to Return and Finding Home.
The witch was gone. The silence that followed was literally the sound of victory. Hansel quickly escaped from his iron cage, and the brother and sister hugged each other so tightly. Because it wasn't magic or sheer physical strength that saved them, it was their teamwork, their quick thinking, and their incredible bravery. And that courage brought an unbelievable reward. Hidden inside the cottage, they discovered chests filled with real treasure. We're talking sparkling jewels, gold coins, diamonds, and precious gems. Hansel and Gretel filled their pockets to the absolute brim before leaving the candy house forever, guided once again by that magical white bird back through the forest.
After a super long journey, they finally reached home, and what a joyous reunion it was. Their loving father, who had searched for them every single day, rushed toward them with tears in his eyes. The cruel stepmother was actually gone, and with the treasure the children brought back, the family could finally live together peacefully. They were safe, they were together, and they never, ever went hungry again. Hansel and Gretel faced hunger, absolute fear, and a terrifying witch. But they survived. And from that day forward, their story was told as a warning. Because sometimes, as we learn today, the sweetest things really can hide dark secrets. But even more importantly, their story is a powerful reminder of what a brave heart and a clever mind can do. So the next time you feel afraid, remember Hansel's clever pebbles and Gretel's fierce push. What scary challenge will your courage help you overcome next?